I work in the building.
What do you do?
I'm an architect.
Roy Jones still #1 and gonna be that way, baby. For all these doubters, him and all the rest of them that think Roy Jones is a fluke, now they know.
I feel like I'm not 46, but I feel like I'm close to 36. But everything is fine, man. God bless me. I worked hard for this. I had a working team. Golden Boy is the promoters, and I am the OG. I am the OG of Golden Boy.
I took a year off. It felt good in there. And you know, I was having a good time. I was enjoying myself. I put my combination together beautiful. You know, I mean, I don't go out looking for the knockout. It's been a year off. I was rusty, but I felt good in the ring, and that's why, you know, I took my time. I executed. Yeah, I dominated. I mean, come on, man. That was a classic boxing.
It's the Architect, man. This video here is a very touchy, you know, thing for me to talk about, you know, purely on, you know, the fact that I'm a, you know, just a boxing fan and watching it, you know, basically almost my whole life, and you know, my father putting me on and stuff like that, and you know, ordering fights and stuff, and me watching Tyson when I was young, and Riddick Bowe and Holyfield and Julio Cesar Chavez and a bunch of guys when I was younger, but you know, wasn't even around, you know, to really see them at their beginning, you know, but when it comes to these three fighters, you know, Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins, and Antonio Tarver, you know, these are guys that I grew up watching, you know. I appreciate what they've done for the sport, and you know, the joy they've given to me as a boxing fan in my life, and you know, entertaining me. Got a lot of respect for these guys, man. You know, these are the guys that I couldn't wait to see them fight. They were always you know, they were always exciting in some type of way, whether it was personality or in the ring, or you know, getting good guys to fight. And I always say that I'm not a fan to no fighter, and I mean this because fighters change like the seasons, man. You never know which you know, you're gonna get from them. Some are a lot more stable and solid than others, so that's why I respect some fighters more than others. But I'm not a fan, man. Yeah, like my motto is, anybody can get one if I feel like, you know, they're not doing what they should be or supposed to be doing at the time. So I'm not gonna, you know, just give them a pass on any and everything. But I respect these three fighters a lot, and I support some fighters more than others through viewership and, you know, various things like that, and putting my money towards certain events and stuff like that. But like I said, man, respectfully, when is enough enough? You know, I'm not gonna try to make this video too long, but Roy Jones, man, let me start with him. Roy Jones was the guy that I thought was just invincible, man. I thought he was fantastic to watch. You know, he had a great personality. He did commentating. He had fast hands. He played around in the ring with you. He beat the guys they put in front of him. And, you know, even though he had one loss for a while, you know, which was the, you know, disqualification match, you know, I just was like, Roy Jones is never gonna be beat. That's just how I felt, you know. And I was young, so I watched fights, and I'm just like, you know, as a youngster, I'm like, you know, I understand that eventually, if you keep fighting, you know, somebody will probably get you. I just remember Roy Jones went up to heavyweight and fought John Ruiz, and I was just like, wow. When he beat John Ruiz, I was like, you know, John Ruiz isn't. I understood what his angle was. Roy's, you know, fight a guy that he felt, you know, he was better than skill wise, and who wasn't too large. He can get him, you know. So I understood, you know, it was a calculated risk, but it still was risky. And I felt like if he can get that title, a heavyweight title under his belt, you know, before the fight even started, even as a youngster, I was like, man, Roy should retire after this. Just retire. I said, this is it, man. I said, what more could you do, man? The only thing I wanted him to do possibly was fight Mike Tyson for that big, major payday, huge fight that he kind of always wanted, but it never happened. And I was kind of, even though Mike wasn't as good as he had been, I still was a little nervous for Roy, as that being my guy growing up. And It never happened. You know, Roy wound up coming back down and fighting Antonio Tarver, in which he just didn't look the same, man. He didn't look the same. He pulled out the win. I thought, and it wasn't me trying to be biased, I watched the fight several times, you know. I thought he pulled the fight off. I didn't think Antonio Tarver won, but I said, you know what, Roy really just does not look the same to me. He needs to retire. I felt like he came back down. He won the light heavyweight championship again. There's no more to prove. You know, for me seeing Roy Jones, you know, go out the way he's going out right now, and him not retiring and all of this, it's just, it kind of sucks to watch that, man. But what is he chasing? I don't know. You know, he said he still has that fire. You know, I don't know what it is, man. It's just, it kind of just sucks. You know, let me just transition into Bernard. You know, I don't want to make this video sound crazy sad, because these guys, you know, they're men and they doing what they want to do. So that's why this question is tough. It's like, how do you tell a man, you know, or should you tell a man what he should or shouldn't do with his life? You know, he has his life and he needs to live it, as long as he isn't breaking laws or harming anyone more so. You know, what can you really say to that, man? You know, Bernard Hopkins, man. Bernard Hopkins, this guy, also loved watching Bernard Hopkins. You know, I love Bernard because he was super calculated. He didn't have necessarily the fastest hands, or he wasn't the hardest puncher, but he knew how to adjust. He knew how to get under your skin. He knew the tactics to use to kind of piss you off. And I always respected Bernard because when years ago, Bernard Hopkins was super, well, I don't want to say super old, but he was old years ago. And I was like, man, this is very impressive. Like, Bernard Hopkins knew how to disarm you. He knew how to grip you up and when to grip you up. He knew when to go to your body. He knew what your weaknesses were, but more so, he knew how to avoid your strengths, which is an incredible thing to know how to do. You know, I remember when Bernard Hopkins, the older guy, you know, at the time he was the underdog, if I'm not mistaken, went in at Fort Tito, Trinidad, you know, right after 9/11. And I just remember saying, man, you know, this is going to be a good fight. It's an exciting fight. As young as I was like, this is going to be a test for, you know, Trinidad, you know. Bernard Hopkins had a really good chin, always, and still has a really good chin. I was just like, he's not going to be able to go in there and just knock him out. So I wasn't super surprised when Bernard Hopkins beat him, but it was the way he beat Felix Trinidad, and which was just like, oh my gosh, this guy, man, just an all-time great, and just getting him out of there, man. And, you know, listening to George Foreman, you know, a known puncher, you know, trying to keep big up Trinidad throughout the broadcast, man. He was sitting here like, what are you watching, man? This guy's controlling and taming him, man. And he's frustrating him. And that was just so huge. I just remember watching that fight thinking, wow, this guy, that's when I was like, really, man, this guy is great, even with all his title defenses at that time and stuff. You know, when Bernard Hopkins had faced, was about to face Jermaine Taylor, I can't lie. I wanted Jermaine Taylor to kind of, you know, win. I wanted him to take over, you know, the division, because he was a young guy. I felt like at this time, Bernard Hopkins was getting up there, and, you know, he was eating a lot of the young fighters' food, man. You know, just like a lot of rappers eat a lot of the young guys' food. And you're just like, let these guys come up, even if you could still beat them. And this is the problem I have with Bernard Hopkins. Not to stop him from, you know, him pursuing his dreams and greatness, but I felt like even as he started winning titles and higher weight classes, he was getting older, you know, and beating Kelly Pavlik and, you know, Chad Dawson and all. I just was like, you know, Bernard Hopkins is kind of, you know, stealing food from the kids, man. And it just was like, you're ruining certain guys' careers and stuff like that because mentally they can't recover or the same. And it just was like, man, I you know, it's sort of like how, you know, Floyd was stealing stuff, and I kind of was happy for Floyd retiring. I'm like, I hope he stays retired because, you know, he's done so much. You know, it's only a matter of time for he goes down, or he's either continuing to just, you know, steal from younger guys and not letting everybody grow because they held hostage, because they don't want to take fights because they're waiting to try to fight him, when everybody's shook to fight each other. So the division is open now. But that's another thing. But You know, when Hopkins lost to Jermaine Taylor twice and not super decisively, I kind of was like, all right, man, you know, maybe you can come back. You know, if you get another win, that's great. You know, but don't wait too long. You know, just retire soon. So he came back and he fought Antonio Tarver, and I said, oh my gosh, this is gonna be good. He's jumping 2 weight divisions. He's catching him, you know, at a good time because he was coming off the movie. But I was just like, this is gonna be a tough fight. But you know, you know, he can pull it off. And the way he did it, once again, was super impressive. And I thought that was a time. This is me personally. I'm not telling anybody when they should retire, but that was the time I said, you know what, Bernard should hang him up. But you know, Bernard keeps fighting. And at this point, I really don't even really want to see Bernard Hopkins fight anymore. You know, we're getting all these rumors and stuff. And it's just like, when is enough B-Hop? When is enough, man? And you know, the only thing he could do that would maybe interest me, and I wouldn't even be interested in it, but because his career he can't do anything else to his career that excites you. You know, he's done just about everything, is if he won a heavyweight title. But it's like, what I want to see him in that situation to possibly get hurt. And will he mean that much? I don't know, man. I don't know. Especially depends on who he fights and everything. But yeah, you know, it is what it is, man. Antonio Tarver. You know, I really liked Antonio Tarver. When Antonio Tarver knocked out Roy Jones, I can't lie, that joint hurt. That joint hurt. Oh, it hurt. I didn't envision Roy losing head up to anybody, but let alone a knockout like that. I was stunned, and I was hurt, man, as a kid. I thought Roy would come back and you know decisively probably get it. You know, even though I was like, man, he don't look the same. I figured, you know, maybe he could just come and pull it off a little bit better, you know, just because I believed that Roy would, you know, be Roy. But Antonio Tarver, I really liked Antonio Tarver's style. It was long. He talked, you know, that trash, and you know, he was exciting for the game. If he hit you with that left hand, you was in trouble. You know, I respected, you know, he went on a good little stretch, man, beating Reggie Johnson, Eric Harding, Montel Griffin, you know, finally getting that win over Roy Jones after calling him out so long. You know, avenging his loss to Glenn Johnson, you know, beating Roy again and capping the fact that, you know, he was able to get the 2 out of 3. And, you know, he lost to Bernard Hopkins, and then that's when I was like, he looked a little ridiculous in that fight. He might want to maybe, you know, you never want to say a guy needs to go out on a loss necessarily unless he gets really pummeled. So I said, you know, I got no problem with him coming back. And eventually he would lose to Chad Dawson twice, and I was kind of like, you know what, kind of give it up, man. You know, we give you a lot of respect for what you're going to do, but how much more can you do that we're going to give you super credit, amounts of credit for, you know? Yeah, man, these guys are just guys that I grew up watching. I enjoyed a lot. And now I'm seeing all type of stuff, man. You know, I'm seeing, you know, Roy Jones get knocked out left and right, respectfully, man. But it's just sad. And I see Bernard Hopkins, you know, he had promised his mom, you know, he would retire. You know, rest in peace to his late mother, that he would retire when he was 40, and he kept fighting and kept fighting. And I say that respectfully. I don't want to, you know, disrespect him, man, because his wishes was his wishes after that for himself. But I was kind of like, man, you know, and now I'm seeing him, and then the Kovalev fight, I was just like, wow, man. He also said, you know, if somebody ever decisively beats him down, basically, you know, he would give it up, and he's still not talking about giving it up. And I thought that fight was just like, what more do you have to prove, man? And Antonio Tarver, man, he's got issues, you know. They talk about he's broke now and child support, and he's got to give up this, you know, car, and he's got to, you know, they leaning on him left and they leaning on him right, and then, you know, testing positive for elevated levels of testosterone, you know, multiple times. And it's just like, man, y'all are dragging, you know, these great legacies down, man, towards the tail end. And that's unfortunately what a lot of people tend to remember is the end of your career. So I'm gonna wrap this up and just say, man, you know, respectfully, those guys, when there's enough, I don't have the answers. I don't know, but I like to see these guys, retire, do good things, continue what they're doing. Roy Jones is a commentator, man. Bernard Hopkins, does commentating and promo. Antonio Tarver, another sad thing, man. He lost a commentary job over some of his, things he's been involved with. But hopefully he gets back everything. I've seen him do some slight work in commentary. But yeah, man, just guys, man. Hopefully this doesn't become too much of a trend, especially with the success of Bernard Hopkins, man. Later on in his career, I don't want to see guys hanging on way too long. It kind of sucks to see these guys that I loved to watch back in the. I won't say, I say back in the day. A lot of the main stuff is over a decade or over a decade now. But yeah, man, I don't know, but I wish the best for them. I'm out.